Alex, thank you for taking the time. Really excited to speak with you because we've had an exciting journey. First, having you as my client, and then you're inviting me to come and work for you. So that's been about 2 years now that we've worked together. And then in the past about year and a half or so, really focusing on growing your business and making quantumSCALE the amazing company that's become. So maybe you could start by introducing yourself and the company.
Sure. My name is Alexander Gesell. I'm the founder of quantumSCALE Institute. Nowadays, like 5 years a founder. It's a growth accelerator program for small businesses. We really help those companies from optimizing their offering to their targeting to actually launch a growth hack 10x webinar funnel into like closing sales, improving the sales process, and nurturing. But it's kind of like what we do.
Perfect. Yeah. So about a year and a half ago, we started with the growth engagement. So tell me a little bit about where you were at that point, maybe what was the revenue, and then where have you guys gotten to as of today?
Mhm. So we were back then about 54,000 US dollars per month, and now we're hitting 300,000. And we were, from a team perspective, we were like 6, 7 full-time team members, and we're now around like 20, a team of 20. Well, there's a lot of like part-time and freelancers, but about 20.
Good. And what was the impetus for the growth engagement? What were you maybe struggling with at the time that it made sense to get started?
So there were like different pieces. One of them was I broke my best performing funnel and I needed to find other funnels that would drop from 100K to 54K
Mhm.
within like a month or two. And I was like, oh, do I have to figure this all out myself again? And the second thing I just realized at this stage where we were, there was enough budget, but I didn't really invest in support. It was all on me and the business. I was the number one limiting factor. If I am inspired and I found the time and I was focused, the business was thriving.
Mm.
If I wasn't, the business was failing. And so I really was, okay, I need to hire my first top leader that's actually taking away one of the biggest pieces. I already took away sales before, but we are a marketing company teaching marketing. So having someone who is leading marketing and I can bring in my genius, but I don't have to lead it and grow it. And they're figuring out, well, I can focus on other areas like operation, delivery, businesses, wherever it needs me. That was really like the key point. And I also didn't want to work like 60, 80 hours. That was the other thing. I knew if I need to do this myself, I probably could, but then I will need to work so much. So I wanted to like go to the next phase of growth journey, buy in knowledge that I didn't have, buy in structure that I didn't have, but at the same time, not killing myself in the process.
Yeah. Perfect. No, I think that makes sense. And then as that developed and you overcame those challenges, what were kind of the major levers that you recognized that I was able to help quantumSCALE put in place over the engagement up until now?
I think the number one thing you started with was looking at data deeper than I do. I'm a visionary sales founder. I looked at data, but I never looked that deep. And by that, looking at the data, really identifying what would move the needle the quickest in which priority. So you started by actually improving my webinar. When, I already ran like 20, 30 webinars before, and I even won you as a client along the way. But you realize it's too complicated. If you don't know about marketing, you get lost in the process. So you simplified it and focused it and made it more powerful. And that 4x our conversion rate within like 3 months. So improving basically the webinar as a major conversion container itself. That was like the first major big step. The second big step was actually product. So if you scale, a huge lever is improving the product. So you in between became and kind of like COO, head of delivery, to figure out product and like giving you big praise of this. You were very flexible to move from a head of growth role and being a consultant to like a COO and really step in working 60, 80-hour weeks and really doubling down in how do we structure the product so it's actually scalable, building like way better SOPs and structures, setting a standard for delivery, setting a standard for hiring the right lead coaches, doubling our prices, improving and adding areas where the product was lacking. And I think that was the second biggest growth layer. And that took also 4 or 5 months, to really get it there where it needed to be. And then I think the next big lever was, because it was too much workload on the whole team, including you, was really pushing for hiring and helping to improve the quality and the standard of the hiring. So we actually hired a COO. We actually hired more skilled support people. We hired good coaches and did a lot of way better hiring than I did in the past in preparing the ground from operational support system and SOPs to make them efficient.
Mhm.
And then the fourth layer was now doubling down on the marketing itself. Scaling up what we were doing, A/B testing all the messages until they really derived really, really good. Improving the system on every piece, on the targeting piece, the messaging piece, the reminder piece, the nurturing piece, and all those pieces. There was a lot of technology to fix. There was messaging to fix. There was processes to fix. There was a team to manage, improving all those areas. And then the last really big area was, we had a little bit of an issue in our sales process with, realized we had an 8% closing rate. How do we raise this? So really completely redesigning the sales process, training the sales team better, hiring more and better salespeople to scale that. So those were basically the major pieces, while adding also additional channels to our marketing. So lowering a little bit the risk and getting different growth layers out. So those were the major phases. And the only thing is the sales piece happened before the marketing piece. So we turned that around, and it was more important in that moment to actually crack sales first before marketing.
Last year, we got the sales process. We started hiring some new salespeople, and then from there we could scale up with the marketing. So, in that process, what do you think are the skills or the talents that I brought to that engagement that have made it successful, that might be able to help other customers?
Yeah, so I think your superpower is making things better. So you're really someone, you see where to focus at, and then you're taking those in a very data-driven way in making things better and better and better, and really focusing on making things better that are already in place, but that are probably at a 30% growth stage and bringing them to an 80%, So I think that's where you're really, really good. You have a lot of different skills. A lot of marketers, they have certain skill set, but you're a good copywriter, ads, you're a good direct outreach person, channels, tech, design, video editing, data, sales. So having all those different skills in someone is very unique and helps definitely in those phases, because you need to bring it all together. Because having it isolated will put all the effort again on the founder. So that is definitely helpful. And that's something, and you're also good in delivery if you need to be a growth consultant. So in our case, so you were able to step in those different roles and take out those skills in the right time.
Yeah. Yeah. And I also recognize, I think that quantumSCALE was at a stage where there is definitely a lot of opportunity for scale. What I do coming in and doing a growth engagement and consulting on the business, it's not for every business. It needs to be a company that is ready to scale. And I really think that you had already built the foundation there that I could really build on. So if there's a company that does fit that model where they're scalable, they're ready to grow, what would you say to them if they're thinking about working with me to grow their business?
Yeah, I would definitely say, we grew 6x within a year. So you're definitely a very, very capable person to support the growth journey. And I think the important thing is, as you said, to first double check, am I ready to scale? And then also give you the infrastructure to do so. So hiring the right people, the right tech. Also, stepping back as a founder sometimes, like I had that as well, where I was like, okay, I've always been involved in those things and just saying, okay, you know what, Brooks, I trust you for a while, just do your thing and not trying to like navigate it all the time where I want to have it. Those are like the most important thing in a growth journey like that. And then of course, having a good methodology of consistently checking in and calibrating and seeing where it is. And also I think it's important, of course, if you hire a growth consultant, you hire them to grow your business, but you also need to understand that they can't fix it all. It still needs your involvement. It still may need a team, and to like see basically also where are the superpowers of the growth consultant like Brooks, and where are your own superpowers? Where are the superpowers of a team, and where are all the weaknesses, and how do you build this up as the most successful growth team? That really makes a difference. I think that's really what's super important. But I can say, we achieved our goals. We improved a lot of areas where, with the capabilities that Brooks had, they were exactly in this growth phase from 50K to 300K. That was really ideal there. And so you definitely are a very, very capable person with a lot of like oversight, different skills, and can navigate a journey there. I can highly recommend you for that.
Yeah, no, and I think you hit the nail on the head. I can't appreciate enough working with you because you're right. In order to take the business to the next level, the founder needs to be fully engaged, fully committed. And I mean, it's been brilliant working with you, like really a privilege. So I appreciate that a lot. And I hope that we can continue to work together in the future and have more success together.
Absolutely. Perfect.
Right. All right. Thanks, Alex.